You're Sperp back with another video, and I just got done watching Squid Game Season 2 after a 3 long wait, after a fantastic first season. That first season was so explosive. One of the biggest shows, if not the most viewed show when it dropped, breaking all types of records. Will this season do the same? Did they wait too long? Only time will tell. With that being said, I will be talking about spoilers as well. There's 7 episodes this time around compared to the 9. I could see some people having an issue with that, but I think them making this a very tight season works, and they already have the final season ready, locked and loaded. I do predict that they might do a scenario where they split up the final season. I know that's going to be annoying for some people, but I don't have an issue with that, to be honest, with their bigger shows. And I could see a scenario where they're going to release maybe 8 episodes, split the season in half. Wishful thinking would be like 10, or even if they take the Arcane approach, where Arcane's final season, they had 3 episodes per week until the season pretty much ran out. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to the finale right off the rip, because there's a lot riding on this. The first season set a very high expectations. Keep your expectations in check with just anything. You know what I'm saying? You can be still excited at the same time. I think this season definitely delivers. So let's get into this, because there's a lot to talk about within these 7 episodes that I really like, and I'm curious to see where this goes for the final season. We're going to get into that as well. So picking up where the last season left off, where it's a couple of years have gone by since Jin-ho won the first Squid Game, and he really wants to now get his revenge on the people that are running the game, the front man, and just everybody that's involved. He wants to put an end to the games, and I really like how the first 2 episodes really focus on that. We don't hop right into the new game or just rush things. The first episode, they deal with trying to track down the recruiter, the guy that plays the I forget exactly the name of the game off the top of my head, how to pronounce it, but that guy. They try to track him down because they feel like if we track him down, that's going to lead us to the next step. And this guy is a piece of shit, bro. The recruiter is a piece of shit. He is a horrible person, because even in real life, he's just playing Squid Game with the homeless, where he'll have a piece of bread, like a piece of food, or a lottery ticket, and a lot of people would pick the lottery ticket over the food, and him just kind of just really crashing out. But what ends up happening is Gi-hun ends up crossing paths with the recruiter and beats him at his own game, where they're playing this like kind of Russian roulette thing. And that was really crazy, because the person that Gi-hun pretty much recruited was Mr. Kim, the guy that he owed money to, and he started to really believe in what he was doing. He paid off his debt. He ends up getting killed, and we get introduced to his kind of underling, Woo. I'm just gonna call him Woo. And he also crosses paths with Jung-ho, the frontman's younger brother, that is also a cop, that is also trying to seek justice or try to shut down the game, but also stop his brother in the process. He ends up working together with Gi-hun, and I like that Gi-hun starts to have his own kind of following, so he wants to pretty much go to war with these people. So once he's able to beat the recruiter at his own kind of game, he ends up finding himself back in the game. And I like the conversation he has with the front man, and the front man saying like, the game stops when the world changes. And that was really telling. And this guy's a very interesting character because his actual name is Inho. That's obviously, like I said, Jun-ho is his younger brother. And there's another character that we get introduced to before we start to get into the actual game. Number 11, also known as Noel. She, during the day, is like a person that dresses up and does this like kind of parade. There's this little girl that's sick. She ends up being a huge fan of hers, and once she stops to come back around, her father doesn't have enough money for the medical bills, so her condition is just getting worse. And this is where you start to think that this character is going to end up doing the Squid Game. The flip of it is she is one of the, officers there, and she pretty much does her own thing, which is just disrupting the whole them harvesting organs thing that they do at this place. I just feel like she's going to have a bigger role to play moving forward. We're going to have to wait and see. I can see some people may not be interested in her character now, but I think the payoff is going to be interesting. So we finally get to the Squid Game by episode 3. And this is where things get really interesting, and they start to really switch things up and introduce new games, new rules. Gi-hun is back as player 456, which is so ironic. And we see his best friend is a part of the game now as player 390. Also, we have a new player 1 that is played by the front man himself. And man, this is where things get very interesting. We have a whole set of new characters. There's player 230. He also is like this rapper. He goes by the name of Thanos. His hair is purple. He's pretty much like a bully character. We have a mother-son duo with player 7 and player 145. That was I really like those two. We also have a trans character here, player 120. Interesting character, helps people figure out the second game, kind of more of the weaker link characters that nobody wants to pick. Very fascinating character, helps with things in the finale. But then also we have player 222. She's pregnant, but also she's in there with her baby father, player 333. And his character, he's known for scamming people with Bitcoin and whatnot. Has an interesting arc. A lot of really different, unique characters this time around. Not the same as season 1, even though a lot of people love those characters. I think a lot of people are going to grow and love these characters as well. And what I like about the first game is Gi-hun ends up helping a lot more people survive, even figuring out, like, covering up his mouth, helping other just people that want to be saved through the game, even though he thought the second game was going to be the same, but it ends up switching, and it's like this 6-legged race thing. They have to kind of do this like lap around this circle while playing 5 different games. That was really fucking dope. Like, I like the games and the different variety that they choose in which they play it. Some of them will be physical, a lot will be mental. Another new game is like Mingle. That's the 3rd game. But also what they introduced in this is, after each game, you have this thing play out where you could choose if you want to continue playing or if you want to stay in the game and win more. And it the price of that is going to be split up, is going to change. It could be more, it could be less. So that ends up causing a divide amongst the players, where you have these X's and O's, and that leads to some devastating consequences and all-out chaos, because Gi-hun's whole purpose is he wants to shut down the game. He wants to try to get some people to fight back, because that's the whole thing. It's just like, we don't need to play by their rules. We need to fight back. But he does kind of get distracted because of player one and him trying to get close to him, befriend him. He messes up so many times that Gi-hun does not see this. He does not see that he's being played by this guy. He's just being nice to everybody up until a point. And like I said, with all these different games kind of going on and these new rules, it makes it more interesting and more engaging as the story goes on. It's just a much tighter story. And then once we get to episodes 6 and 7, where we have a huge brawl between like the X's and the O's, that's where things start to shift, where I thought we were going to probably see the second half of the games in the final season. But no, we get to the whole revolting thing very quickly. While this is all kind of going on, there's another subplot with Jun-ho and, you know, everybody trying to find that island, because that's the backup right there. If they can't find that island, you know, Gi-hun is pretty much fucked at this point, you know. But yeah, this was a really fantastic season, man. I really like the different variety in characters, and there's just more at stake. They definitely raised the stakes, and by just changing up the rules and throwing things off and pitting people against one another by even choosing X and O's, that whole thing that plays a big part in why things kind of blew up the way that they did. And this ends with a really good cliffhanger, because once we get to the finale and everybody's trying to do their best to escape, they just keep getting pressed. The front man finally makes himself known and ends up killing Gi-hun's best friend, player 390. And man, it's just so crazy. And I want to see where this goes with the finale. And I have predictions where I could see it's going to continue with them trying to fight back, but maybe they give them a chance to finish the game. I also think that number 11 is definitely going to be a game changer as far as turning the tides or switching sides, because player, what was it, 264, that's the little girl's father, is in there, so that might trigger her to go fight for the other side. There's a lot to still go on. It's an interesting way to just end this season with a cliffhanger. I know it's gonna piss some people off, but it did its job. You know, it gave us different games, different characters, different character motivations, switching up the rules, pretty much everything you would want in a season 2. I think they did a really good job of. I really like the first 2 episodes, just taking the time to see what the actual plan is and not just rushing into it. And I really think that they're going to land the plane with this final season. But let me know how you guys feel about season 2 in the comments below. What were some of your favorite moments? Who was your favorite new character? What was your favorite new game so far? Me personally, I really like the second game that they played, because it threw off all the characters, because they were thinking like, oh, it's going to be this. ended up being something else. It's not that whole cookie game, cutting at the shapes and stuff like that. No, I like that. I like that, and I also like Mingle. I think Mingle was a really cool flip on like musical chairs in a way. Um, I also just like the finale, how chaotic it was, like that whole brawl, and how Thanos ended up dying and stuff like that, because he started this whole war between the X's and the O's, and that resulted in a lot of people dying. But this season also shows you that our main character here is a anti-hero by far. He is really not as um any better than the people running this game. You know, people have their own kind of goals, and even the front man has his own goals, if you believe his story or not. People have their own reasonings for doing that. Either they're their player, or they're the person and part of the game, being one of the officers or being the front man himself. You know, nobody's really innocent. And I just really like how unpredictable the show is, and just keeps you on the edge of your seats. Definitely going to be rewatching this season along with season 1 again, getting ready for the final season whenever we get that. Probably summertime, I would assume, or I don't think we're going to have to wait that long. We're definitely getting it next year. But let me know how you guys feel about this whole entire season as a whole. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.